Now, I've talked about these divergences on Bitcoin and IBIT and the Bitcoin futures. Here is IBIT, the Bitcoin ETF, IBIT. Again, you could see the divergence that could develop here if we start getting green awesome oscillator bars. Today, the Monday session, we saw the NASDAQ and the S&P both get green awesome oscillator bars. IBIT is likely going to do it this week and maybe tomorrow. Likely see it with the futures and also with Bitcoin. I think we're forming a multiple point divergence on Bitcoin, and I think that'll give us a divergence here on IBIT and the Bitcoin futures charts. Flip to a bearish reversal of conditions. We're at the 20 period. I think we're going to flip back up and get one more push higher to complete first wave higher. I've been talking about this recent videos, the Bitcoin futures. I talked about the Bitcoin price awesome oscillator here, the futures with it. And again, you're going to get a couple of green bars. I think you're going to get a divergence. I think you're going to go to that 113,000 to 115,000 area. Maybe overthrow the 113,000 and go even higher. I think you're likely stall between 113,000 and 115,000. I think our stochastic will recycle back up, and we can form a divergence on the MACD and on the awesome oscillator. I think this is very likely. I think this is just a pullback, and then I think we're going to resume the advance. Right now, futures is up. We're trying to rebound. Bitcoin has recovered, attempting to recover with the Bitcoin price. I think you're going to get these divergences here with futures, with IBIT, and we talked about it with Bitcoin itself in my last video. Down at the bottom, the bears told us we were going to crash. I told you we bottomed. I told you the day we bottomed. You see this little miniature double bottom? We were in a larger double bottom. Again, I had signals that turned, marking that as a bottom on the 7th, the day of the bottom, the 8th, and the 9th. The 9th was the launch of the reciprocal tariffs. Saw a massive rally follow. Signals correctly got that bottom. Predicted the rally. I was correct about that as well. I don't think it's done. Wrong about that, and wave one is done. Then again, you've got an A, you get a B, and then you get a lower high, and then you come down, you get C. That's the bearish scenario that we're already beginning the pullback for wave two, and we're already in the correction. I want you to be watching for a bounce off the 200. Oh, gee, what's happening? A bounce off the 200 period moving average. Continue to just nail it. This is the bearish scenario. I think it's much less likely to play out, but I'm open-minded to it if I see evidence that we stop making new highs. Count says that we've had wave one, wave two, this is wave three, we've had four, and we completed 5 right here. And now we're getting the ABC. This is what I think is more likely the case, that we didn't finish wave one yet, and that the rising wedge broke down, but we're expanding into a channel. And I've marked here, this is wave one, wave two, this whole thing as a wave three, where you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, extended wave three. Then you get your ABC here for 4. And again, if it's done, which I think it probably is, then we have a bounce off our 200 period moving average. I've marked another scenario here where the C is not done yet. We just dip under the 200 period moving average. While that's still possible, I think it's more likely the move is done and we're now going to resume the advance. I have this marked as 1, 2, 3, 4. This is being a corrective 4. Bouncing off the 200, we get 5, and then we get the bigger corrective move. I think this count is more likely and probably the case. As you know, doing two things. Down at these bottoms, we hit the 200, just below the 200 period moving average, and Bitcoin's average price on the daily chart accumulated a big position. I'm ignoring short-term price fluctuations, doing absolutely nothing. Just going to try to ride it higher over the next several months. This price fluctuation, a larger price fluctuation when it happens, just ignoring it and going to ride it up, go into the summer or the fall. Longer-term swing move. Another position I have is an attempt to play the wave one that might be done here. Continue to believe it's not. 75% of my shorter term swing trade into the rally, kept 25%, still have 25%. Pull back to the 200 here, bounced. We tested that level today. I bought the balance of that position back. because I still happen to believe we're going to ride higher. Get stopped out on the position if I'm wrong. If we just go up and we back test and we get that lower high and then we come back down, then maybe that's it. Sold into the rally the day before the peak, downsizing my position by 75%, keeping 25%. Bought that back now as we pull back here because conviction is we're going to go higher. So under the 25%, back the 75% of my position and going to try to ride that higher and then sell the whole thing into the rally, hopefully above this peak right here and maybe closer to that 113, 114, 115,000 area. Strategy, again, my core position, I'm not going to sell into the rally. I'm not going to sell with this pullback or the next pullback, and I'm just going to hold it multiple months. So that's the way I'm playing it. I could be completely wrong, just letting you know what I'm doing. And again, late. I told you I was going to make a video today. I'm a little late making the video because I was trying to position. It looks like I might be right because we're trying to rally up. We'll see how we close. We were trying to rally up off of the lows. We had been down about a 1.5% or thereabouts. You got people like me looking at this 200 period moving average, and you got some buyers coming back in. So stopped out of this position. We'll see what happens. If we dip below the 200 just a little bit, I'll hang on to it. But becomes clear that that is incorrect, I can always abandon the position and had a massive gain, capturing most of this move up with my swing trade. Massive profit, losing out 75% of it, just waiting here. So we'll see what happens. I told you if we get the 25 with my 25%, if I saw evidence that we were going to get a bigger sell-off, that I would abandon that at lower levels. Still think we're going to go higher, so I have not abandoned that 25% shorter term swing trade position, but bought the 75% back here at the just above the 200 with our higher low pullback here, going back, testing this low, going back towards the 200 period moving average. I think things suggest we're going to get another pump higher, but then I think we'll get a larger pullback in June. Just sharing with you, that's not a recommendation to buy or sell Bitcoin or the IBIT ETF or Bitcoin futures. I'm just sharing with you what I'm doing. Strategy is paying off beautifully, capturing the bottom, riding it up, selling into the rally, trying to buy it back here. We'll see what happens. Again, I want to make it clear at my core position, I'm just going to be hanging on to that. That's why I'm late making the video today. I've been watching this, trying to buy my position back here. So MACD turning back up. Now I could be wrong. We can get another push down and still get a divergence right here. So again, and even if we go a little bit lower, I'll probably hang on to my position. But if it's looking like we're going to get a bigger sell-off, maybe I'm wrong about this. But again, I think this scenario is more likely. I think the other scenario, even if we go back up, you get a lower high back up towards back testing the trend line or back to test the highs. So that's the way I'm playing it. You can play it how you want to play it, but that's how I'm playing it. My strategy is paying off beautifully. And if we rally up and get a lower high, I could just raise my stop up if I'm proven correct on the rally. Bitcoin was down again, about 1.5% at the lows, going back and testing the low here, getting the daily time frame. We're recovering right now. Buyers like me trying to come back in. We're at the 50 level. We are holding with that, with the low from a few days ago. You're going to go back up and get this Class A divergence. I think the RSI is going to come back up here, and you're going to come back up into this 113 to 114,000 area. And this is the area I'm going to be selling at, this trend line right here. Maybe we overthrow it a little bit. Maybe I'm wrong about 113, 114,000. Maybe we go a little bit higher, as I've said. You can go, I think you're going to go to the 113 to 115,000 area, but you could overthrow it. In my last video, I talked about the Fibonacci extension levels, and 8.6 Fibonacci is coming in at 121,000. You can go up to 116 to 121,000, but I think you're more likely going to still at 113 to 115,000 or so. The rising wedge again broke down. I think you got a channel now, and I think we're going up into this area. So here's the scenario where we just keep going, or maybe we bounce and just keep going here. More likely would be the case if we get the lower high, but my guess is we're coming back up in here. I think we go slightly higher, get that divergence, maybe even overthrow it here, and then you come back and you get this bigger pullback. So that's what I think's going on. That's the way I'm playing it. Right now, as I'm making the video, we've got about an hour left to the close. Covering to the 10 and the 20 period moving average, but we came down, we tested that low successfully. Buyers came back in, at least so far. So I think this divergence has got a good shot at playing out. Same thing on the MACD, the stochastic, trying to rebound back up with that. Again, I think the stochastic is going to end up coming back up and forming a larger divergence. We had this divergence give us this sell-off. I think you're going to come back up here and end up forming a larger divergence, and then I think you'll see a bigger sell-off with Bitcoin. I think we've got this inverse head and shoulders, as I've talked so much about. I'm really the only one talking about this. Boom Boys will be talking about this after it's already happened. I tell you things before they happen. I think you're going to get this pop for the wave 5, and then I think you're going to come back down. And when we get down in this area, then the Moon Boys are going to, the people in the herd telling us, no way we go down. And we've been going down. I think we're still going to pop higher, but then I think we get a bigger pullback. I don't think this is the bigger pullback. People telling us we're not going to get the bigger pullback. We're not going to sell off. Herd, the Moon Boys. When we do, the Moon Boys are going to come out, proclaim their genius that we now have an inverse head and shoulders pattern. Measures up to over 150,000. Exactly what I'm telling you, or anybody else is telling you. Like I told you when everybody was saying we were going to crash at the bottom, that we were bottoming with the tariffs at Bitcoin's average price here, and we're going to get a massive rally back up above the 200. Black line right here. Actually go back and test the highs. Ultimately move to new highs, as I've talked about, my 150,000 to 175,000 target area. I think we've got one more push higher, and then I think we get that bigger pullback. On Saturday, we tested the 200 period in the 4-hour time frame, and that gave us this low right here. We tested it again today. Our low today was 103,700, and again, sold off over 1.5% lower, but buyers came back in. You got great places for stops right below this low. You got the lows over here, and you got this horizontal level right under here. It's a lower risk, and that's why we saw buyers, traders come back in at this level. Coming into a support zone, you're coming into the 200 period in the 4-hour time frame. So again, I'm calculating buying my position back. It looks like others buyers are coming in as well. Again, I sold into the rally here, selling into the rally the day before the top, 25% of my swing trade, short-term swing trade position. Now, it may not work out for me, but I think it will. I continue to say I believe we're going higher. And even if the trade doesn't work out, again, the majority of this move higher, really a low-risk entry for me. Again, my core position doing absolutely nothing. But here I want to continue to point out, we pulled back. The bars are still blue, telling me that we're probably still going to go up and try to test this trend line that I've been talking about, or even overthrow it. Again, the 113 to 115,000 area. I told you I had a mixed bag of trend signals. Some of them turned bearish. Other ones are still bullish. Just looked at one that was still bullish. Here's one that's turned bearish briefly. Again, we'll see if these signals can flip back to bullish. I don't think we topped this. We have no topping signals here. We don't have to get it, but more often than not, you do get it. We got it at the bottom. Again, I was able, my signals, to them triggered bottoming signals and reversals on the 7th, on the 8th, on the 9th, at the bottom. Same thing over here at the first bottom with our double bottom pattern. So again, I have that here. We got an earlier signal here, but my guess is that we don't have the top in yet. Just telling you what I think. I could be completely wrong. I was right about the bottom. I was right about the rally. Sold into the rally. There was risk of a pullback going into the Bitcoin conference. There usually is, and we've seen a sell-off. Hype going into it and the sell-off surrounding it. It's so common. I think we get another bump higher, and then we'll see if we get some reversal signals like what we had over here, topping signals, some reversal signals, and back over here we got a topping signal and then a reversal signal later. We'll be watching, or bottoming signals down here, something similar to that with our topping signals. Just telling you my conviction, that causes me to believe that we haven't topped yet. I think bars might turn back to blue. Here's another reason why I bought my position back is, again, we're testing the 200 period in the 4-hour time frame. We're getting a higher low. We're pulling back. We sold off earlier today. It's recovered now. late making the videos because I was trading Bitcoin in the sell-off, the session. Entry point there at key support levels. But look at right here, the day before, yesterday, on the Sunday session, the bar flipped back to blue here. And great signals. Bearish all the way down. Look at the reversal down here at the bottom. I talked about the bullish signals down here. Blue bars all the way up, and then we pull back, get some red, but now it's slipping back to blue. Could we continue? Well, we got some red over here, but then we still went to a new high, and then I tried to get a little bit of blue after that, and it failed. Could we see something like that again? I think so. Got some red over here, still went to new highs. So again, that tells me we're either going sideways or down the red, but now the blue, getting the blue, it tells me we're likely going sideways, probably going back up for one more push higher. Just my opinion. But that's why I got my position back, selling into the rally, and then I think we're going to get another thrust higher. That's just my take on it. And again, while I've had some signals, some of my trending signals turn bearish, I've got other ones that are still bullish. That tells me we're likely going sideways. This is likely a smaller pullback that's going to give us another thrust higher. But we've had this sell-off, and things are still blue here. Again, turned blue over here, still blue, even with this sell-off right here. So I think we got a shot at hitting the trend line or even overthrowing it and then getting that right shoulder. And I'm buying the rest of my position back, sell the whole thing into the rally, short-term swing trade here, trying to catch wave one, and back when we get wave two. I'd even take a short position, but again, my core position, I'm doing absolutely nothing. Hold that multiple months. A great entry down at these lows down over here. Bitcoin's dropped below the 200 period moving average and then tested Bitcoin's average price. The massive position, shorter term position, and the longer term core position that I've been talking about. So that's what I'm doing. Again, not a recommendation to buy or sell. That you do what you want. I'm just telling you, I'm buying my position back, but I'm going to sell it into the rally because I believe we're going higher. I'm going to hang on to my core position for several more months. Bitcoin's trying to bounce off support levels here. So again, I think it's likely going to be successful. Maybe we dip below the 200 period on the 4-hour chart. Maybe we get one more push down if this is a 4 and then we get a 5. Could be. I don't think we go too much lower than that, and I think that this is not the wave 2 pullback. Just my personal opinion. It's likely a wave 4. Some of my signals are bearish. Some of them are bullish with my trending signals here, bearish. Could it be we have something like this where we saw a bullish signal, but then it reversed and we still went down and made a new low? Could it be we get a bearish signal and we turn back up and get a bullish signal and still go to a higher high as we went to a lower low down here? Still very, very possible. So while some of my signals are still bullish, others are starting to try to turn back to bullish. Again, others are still bearish. I'll be watching if we get further traction off the 200 period in the 4-hour time frame, possibly flipping some of these signals back to bullish. And again, we got the bottoming signals here, got some warning signs of some pullbacks. We got one right here. Told you that could be a reversal or it could be a short-term pullback. Signals have turned red here, but you still have other bullish signals in place right here. So can we get the traction right here? Now here's another encouraging sign for this session here that's about to close on the Monday session. We got the pullback and we saw some red going on here, but now we're flipping back to green. We're trying to flip back to green during the Monday session. That's a good sign. Is it something like over here where we turned briefly red, but then it flipped back to green before we got that bigger sell-off? Here we had red going on, flipped back to green briefly for a counter trend, and then to new low, and we got our bottoming signal. Another great bottoming signal. Look at that, the very day of the bottom, peak of stinking boo. Oh gee, look at the topping signals, reversal bars. I mean, absolutely incredible signals. I think we're headed up to that upper Bollinger Band. I think the S&P, NASDAQ are likely going to do the same thing. They got bullish awesome oscillator bars today. I think we'll see the same thing probably tomorrow with Bitcoin or before the week ends, but good chance tomorrow. I think you're going to rebound and get back up here and go into that 113 to 115,000. Our Bollinger Band here is at that 111,000 area. I think you're going to overthrow it. It might be right there at 112,000. I think you're going to overthrow it. Here's our peak at 112, so it's a Looks like it's right in the high 111,000 area. I think you're going to overthrow it and go into 113, 115,000, and I think you're going to top. No topping signal here. You don't have to get one, but very well could. Here, but it was only for a correction. We got one at the bottom here, tops over here, bottom here. Probably going to push higher above the upper band and get one. And again, to me to believe the rally is not over yet. Bitcoin's getting ready to close out this Monday session. We're trying to get a blue bar. We're going from red bars back to blue. Here, the cloud never flipped. The line never flipped. They're still blue. Bars did, but the line is still blue. The cloud is still blue. Topping signal. Now, we didn't get a bottoming signal here, but we did over here. We did at some of these other bottoms. We did at some of these other tops. Getting a bullish bottoming signal at these candles as we're pulling back, and we've gone a little bit lower than these candles, but again, it's suggesting could we recover? So again, mixed signals to me to believe the rally is not over yet. Here we still have blue bars. Again, you got a yellow ribbon. As long as you hold above the yellow ribbon, that's bullish. Over here, December peak, you drop below it, tried to get back above it over here in January, couldn't do it, remained red all the way down till, look right there, look at the reversal bar, boom. Reaffirmed the bearish signal here, went to a new low, but then got the reversal bar right there. Absolutely incredible signals. We're still going to pop higher. Get a bigger pullback later, we could drop below the ribbon. But still bullish here, still got green here. Take a look right here. We're still in the positive portion of the cloud. We pulled right back to the midpoint of the cloud, and we're trying to bounce off of it. I think you're going to get this divergence that develops on the indicators here. I think you're going to get, we've had this divergence, and this divergence give us the sell-off. Okay? I think you're going to get a larger divergence, and then I think you're going to peak. And then I think you'll get a bigger sell-off for the right shoulder. It's absolutely incredible signals. Bottoming here into the positive portion of the cloud, eventually bars turning green, and again, moving into positive territory with the oscillators, validating all of this, and they're still in positive territory, causing me to believe the rally is not done. We're probably going to bounce off this area here. Please support the channel with the link directly below that allows me to be able to provide you this information. If you like the charts, if you like the indicators, if you like this information, let me know that. Know you want this information. It's a lot of time and effort to do this. I'm just showing you stuff I look at every day. I look at different charts. I have a lot of them. I create my own indicators, go at a lot of different things. You like that kind of cutting edge information. You know that by supporting the channel today. I don't have any sponsors, just a direct relationship with you. Most YouTube channels get sponsors. I don't want any. I turn those offers down. They constantly contact me because I don't want to sell you anything. But if you could just take a moment, follow the link below. It'll take you to a secured site. You can donate any amount you want. Do what you can to help out. But I need to hear from you in order to make this work. So if you could take a moment to do that, I would really, really appreciate it. I thank you for your consideration for that. Now, here's the awesome oscillator on Bitcoin. Again, I told you I thought it would turn back up. I thought we would, and again, I'm looking for the same thing for the IBIT ETF, looking for the same thing for Bitcoin futures. Here we already had a divergence with Bitcoin, and we saw that give us this sell-off we currently have. Right there, that was that divergence right going into this first trend line that I've been talking about. I marked these trend lines before we ever reached them. I thought that's where we were going to. The awesome oscillator is still in positive territory. I think you're going to turn back up here. I think you're going to get this another reference point of a divergence, and when that is done, I think you'll have your Bitcoin top, and I think that goes to 113, maybe 114.15, and then you pull back. Again, we could go higher. My guess is you're going to stall somewhere between 113 and 115,000. Just telling you what I think. We could go higher than that to the 78.6 Fibonacci expansion, as I talked about in my last update. Go watch that if you want to see that chart. I still think the awesome oscillator is going to form this massive, larger divergence here on Bitcoin. Here's what I think is going on. Again, this inverse head and shoulders. I've talked about this. I think these highs are pointing to the next high, the December and the January high. And my indicators correctly call both of those peaks. Again, I called it based on a trend line with divergences forming at the trend line, not this trend line, but the trend line in the weekly time frame. I'm just connecting these two peaks, and I think it's pointing to the next high. The bullish golden cross, I think that will mark a Bitcoin top, but I think it will be up here somewhere, and I think we come up here. I think we end up getting that divergence on the oscillator, and then I think we come back down, and I think you'll get this top forming the divergence. I think we'll get a bigger pullback going into June here and get that right shoulder. And it could be a balanced pattern, have symmetry, where it is this right shoulder is very close to this left shoulder. There could be unbalanced where it's lopsided, where that we get a deeper retracement, but I doubt that. I think the 200 period, we're going to pull back to the 200 here as it rises, and I think we'll come into contact with it right in this area somewhere, maybe even overthrow it. But I think that you're going to pull back to the 200 period. I think you'll pull back towards a 100 period moving average, not seen in this chart. Playing out beautifully. Told you I'm going to be looking for a 13 count to finish here. 13 count at the December top. I got a 9 count just at the right after the January top. Got a 913 to mark this bottom, and then we went right beyond it. I think you'll probably see something like that happen if we see the 13 count here complete before we reach the trend line or try to overthrow it. But I think a 13 count is going to show price exhaustion to the upside. Now Bitcoin sold off. We're trying to get a new 1 of a 9 to the upside, so that is also a possibility. We'll be watching to see what becomes of that. Got Ethereum up 2.5% right now. Again, it went down. It was lower with Bitcoin bouncing off the 21 period moving average right here. I think you're going to get back above that 200 period. I have some different Elliott wave counts going on. Bearish one, a bullish one, so I don't really want to go into that, but I think you're going to end up getting this divergence here on the RSI, and I think you're going to get above that 200 period, and again, have our 50 get closer and closer to that 200. We got the bullish golden cross on Bitcoin. We don't have it yet here on Ethereum. So again, just what I think is likely going to be the case. I think we're consolidating here and going to get another push higher. We're up over 100% off of the lows for Ethereum, and I think you're going to form a divergence right here on the MACD, and the stochastics try to recycle up here at 50. So again, I expect that we're going to get a big rally on Bitcoin and Ethereum, but then I think we're going to peak on Bitcoin, and we'll be looking for clues on Ethereum as well. We can see the same thing on Solana. Again, you've got Solana stalling at the 200. You've got Ethereum stalling at the 200. You've got the crypto market cap stalling just above that area. I think you're going to pop. I think this move is likely corrective for Solana, same as Ethereum. It looks like an expanded flat, and I think you're going to end up pushing up above these 200 period moving averages, probably form a larger divergence, and then again, see Solana, Ethereum, join Bitcoin, and get a bullish golden cross. Here we're becoming oversold. I think that MACD is likely going to firm up around the center line here and likely form a larger divergence above the 200 period moving average. So that's what I think is likely going to be the case. If Bitcoin rallies, we're likely going to see it with Solana, with Ethereum, and a lot of the cryptocurrencies. Same is true for the total crypto market cap. Here it is right here. And again, I've told you, I've shown you this chart before. I think we have a 3 over here. I think we have a 4 over here. And I think where it started, I think it will eventually catch up to Bitcoin and move to new highs. So the season we were told, oh no, it's canceled. I don't think so. Because there's a delay with the total crypto market cap not moving to a new high, as Bitcoin has already done, could be we see Bitcoin peak out before, as so often the case before the altcoins. That before, where Bitcoin peaks out, and then a month or two maybe later, then we see the altcoins peak out later. But again, stalling around this 200 just above it, Ethereum and Solana just under it. Here, the total market cap just above it. The 50 period here, the green line, the 200's the black line. Again, if we can get above this level, above these highs, get back above that 200, you're likely going to see a golden cross here. So again, very well could be our first wave under construction here, eventually play catch up to Bitcoin. Here's my Elliott wave count on Bitcoin. I think we push on up here again to that 113, 115,000 area and then get your wave 2. That's what I think is going on here. I think we completed the wave 3 here. We got 4, and I think we're getting our first wave of this larger wave 5. Here's my L8 wave count in the weekly time frame. You can see what I'm looking at. I'm looking for a 5-leg push higher here and to complete 5 waves higher. The red 5 there to complete. This whole thing would be the blue, completing the blue 4 here, getting the blue 5 for this whole thing in a 5-leg push higher where I have it marked as 1, 2, 3, 4, and now 5. The red count there. Trend line is my target. It's been my target for a long time. We didn't reach it over here, and we pulled back. It's likely we're still going to reach it, and that could take us sooner rather than later, 150,000, maybe 175,000, maybe even higher. This scenario right here, I've drawn it out a little bit further on into September. Maybe we go above 180,000, closer to 190,000, something like that. Certainly possible. I think once we get up here, this is where I think Bitcoin will top once we reach my trend line. A number is not my target. Trend line is my target. A date is not my target. I could tell you, well, maybe we reach it, over the summer or the fall. A date is not my target. A number is not my target. The trend line is my target. When we reach it, that's when I think Bitcoin will top. And extremely bullish on Bitcoin. I do think we're going to get a pullback for the wave 2, but then we're going to go on higher, get the 3, the 4, and the 5. Going to continue to be very, very bullish, although I do expect a pullback once we pop a little bit higher. But I'm very, very bullish down here. And again, called the bottom. Very bullish when everybody was bearish. Here, everybody was going to get very, very bullish. The herd, the moon boys, I'm going to get very, very bearish up here. You want to do the opposite of what the herd does. A lot of good indicators, but the herd is my best indicator. They told us we were going to crash along with the moon, with the bears down here at the bottom. It goes, yeah, and they lost all hope. And you get capitulation. This is the bigger picture, the target, where we're headed. The target is a trend line. This channel from the 2022 low.